we discussed like the transfers, right? So that they'll be doing using this transfer option. Okay.
Okay. Is it transferred to a different department, such like things?
Sorry, transfer?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they can click on search here. So as we logged in as super user, so we are able to see all the jobs or all the cost centers or all the departments here. But when we log in as particular employee or manager, they'll be able to see only the entries or departments that they are eligible for, or to whichever that we have provided access to them. So they can perform, they can select whichever that they want to transfer, they can select and apply, so that there will be a transfer for those. And I'll also show you a couple of things. Yeah, when we want to add multiple things, then we can use insert row and add.
Okay.
These.
Like the breaks or maybe.
When employees. Yeah, when employees are punching at the clocks, all these automatically will be populated. Suppose if they take means first punch, always the first punch will be considered as in punch, and the next punch whenever he punches again, so that will be taken as out punch, and it's so on. So yeah, based on the time that they are working, the shift totals are calculated. And if we see 9 AM to 5 PM, yeah, but we are seeing if we calculate 3 plus 5, it should be 8 hours. But here we are seeing it as 7.5 hours, because there is automatic lunch deduction that is applied to this employee. So that half an hour is being deducted. That's why we are seeing that 30 minutes of deduction. So all these calculations happens based on the rules and policies that are assigned to the employee. So finally, we'll see the shift totals. And there are other things also, like to which pay code those hours should go. So all that will be controlled by the pay rules that are assigned to the employees.
Yeah.
So if we see automatically some hours are considered under evening pay code. So that basically employees will not do any logging, like I worked in evening shift, so I log evening 4 hours or regular 5 hours like that. Employees will be coming when they'll be punching in and punching out, and depending on the rules that are assigned, the pay codes or shift totals, overtimes, so everything will be calculated based on the rules that are applied for the employees. So I'm coming to this shift column, yeah, as we saw, so the number of hours that employee worked on that day, on that shift. So we'll see it as a shift total. And daily column will include all the hours for that day. So here we could see 3 plus 4. So total for the entire day, 7 hours in the daily column. And period column is the cumulative balances. So where we could say that as of Tuesday, employee worked 14.5 hours as of Tuesday. And if there are some more hours on Wednesday, so then as of that date, yeah, 23 hours. And when employee wants to use any pay code, like sick or vacation, they'll be using in this pay code column, and amount is for this pay code. So let's say if I had vacation of some 4 or 8 hours. Yeah, this amount is for the number of hours or the amount of hours for the pay code. Okay, so like this will means where employees will be adding the hours and punches, so that the totals, shift totals and period totals we could see here. And yeah, depending on the hours that employees are working, so we could see exceptions. These red highlights are called as exceptions. So exceptions will show up when employees are not working as per the schedules. So if they are not working as per a particular schedule. So here employees are scheduled to work from 8 AM to 5 PM, but employees come in at 8. So that's why it shows exception as late in. Let me show you that.
Late entry, yeah.
Late in. So all these exceptions also we can configure, like when it has to show late in, like immediately when employee comes 5 minutes late to their scheduled start time, at that time itself we want to show it as a late in, or after half an hour only, then it has to trigger that late in exception. So if 30 minutes means, then if employee comes in at 8:15 or 8:20, then there won't be any exception, because it triggers exception only when employee comes after 8:30. The other exceptions there are, we can configure or like we saw late in, similarly early in or early out, late out, and we can also configure exceptions like short shifts, long intervals, those exceptions also. We'll discuss how to configure them later. Yeah, but when there is something not as per the schedule, then definitely we'll be able to see exceptions showing in as a highlight for managers to recognize that something is not as per the schedule. So if we see on Wednesday, yeah, employee worked as per the schedule, like 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. That's why we do not see any exceptions for Wednesday. And again, as I mentioned, if there is any missed punch, so when there is no associated in or out punch, that is called as missed punch. So when there is a missed punch in the time card, so application cannot calculate the shift total. As we could see, Monday there are no hours. So obviously when there are no hours means finally for this employee will be paid only 23.5 hours, where employee would have worked some hours on Monday. If we give 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. So then there we'll get the exact hours. So actually employee should have paid 31 hours. But if manager is not fixing those missed punches, then employee will miss pay for those. So that's why managers will always review for any missed punches and fix them accordingly. Okay, when we don't have any punch, or if you want to delete the punches for the entire day, we can use this delete row. So that will delete all the punches. And when there are no punches for any scheduled shift or scheduled day, then we'll see an exception at the day, on the day itself, on the date itself. Okay, so which means this employee is scheduled to work on Monday, but there are no punches for it, which means the employee is absent for the day, right? So by default, absent is considered as unexcused absence. So that's why when we go and I'm trying to hover mouse that day, so it will show me it as an unexcused absence. So yeah, it will show it as unexcused absence by default, like how it showed late in or late out here, the same way. And moving on to other things, yeah, this calculate totals and save. So those are, suppose if I want to see how employee will be paid or which pay codes, yeah, which pay codes will be paid to employees when they are working in a particular punches, when they have particular punches. So without saving, we can, if you want to see how it actually pays or calculates the totals, then we can click on that calculate totals. If I click on calculate totals, it will show me the totals without saving to the means those changes to the database. If we save it, then obviously, yeah, there will be entry or that those pay code hours or punch hours are saved to the database, to the time card. And coming to the bottom one, so all these tabs or can be configured while creating a new time card widget or like that. But by default, these all will be available with the standard time card widget that comes with the installation. So accruals will discuss about each tab. So first one is totals. So where we could see the total number of hours that are segregated into different pay codes. So here employee worked some 31 hours, right? So those 31 hours are, means how those 31 hours are segregated and how those 31 hours will be paid for employee. Yeah, we can find under here. So if we see, so 19 hours will be paid as regular and 8 hours will be paid as vacation, and 30 minutes, employee will get 30 minutes of overtime and evening hours of 3.5 hours. We can also define base wages in the application for each employee. So when we have base wage defined, then we'll also see the wages information for each respective pay code based on the hours that they have worked under each of them. So for this employee, base wage is $10 per hour. So that's why for regular pay codes, so we could see 19 for 19 hours, we are seeing $190 for those 19 hours. And we could also see a vacation, obviously they'll be paid at the regular rate only. But when we see overtime for 30 minutes, he'll be has to be paid, which it is paid 1.5 times of their base wage. So here, yeah, instead of $5 for those half an hour, so employee is getting paid 7.5 or $7.50. And evening, we'll define for evening. I think here they're paying slightly higher, like 50 cents additional for each hour. So here we could see for those 2 hours. So instead of being paid at $10 per hour, employees being paid $10.50. So that's why for those 2 hours, employee gets $21. And here we'll also see the default home account. So by default, all the hours that employee work are considered under their home account.